lyonse pali chine nenchita ya 10 hours ukutendeka pa 18th January 2024. Kumpongwe kutikeni Kumpongwe FM lyonse pali chitatu nenchita ya 10:30 hours ukutendeka pa 17th January 2024. Kumufulila nangule ntile mwebena Mafken kutikeni ku Mafken FM lyonse pa chiberushi nenchita ya 15 hours ukutendeka pa 13th January 2024. Kuchingola kutikeni ku iWave elio na Kokoliko FM lyonse pali chine nenchita ya 09 hours ukutendeka pa 18th January 2024. SGBV no mfyashi inoninsa kayabumi ila zambi ni shefingi pamikalile yenu elio na pabumi ubusuma
insaka yabumi obumi busuma nemikalile isuma imbila abamileterako kabungwe ka Population Media Center Zambia okubombera pamona abachipani chabumi.
Mafken FM Radio Limited, Mafken FM, takes no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the people on this program. Statements and opinions issued and aired on this radio station are not the beliefs or views of Mafken FM. Callers are reminded to be civil as they contribute on this program. Do not use vulgar language, do not promote hate speech, do not promote tribalism or xenophobia. Also, be reminded that all contributions are recorded, and these recordings could be used in any criminal proceeding for those violating the laws of the land.
(15:05) on Mafken FM 97.7. A good afternoon to you and welcome to Insaka Yawomi. Now, as you know, we do have this particular program every Saturday, and it starts at 15 and goes all the way until 16 in the afternoon. I'm your host, Grace Keke Ngoma, and I am not alone in studio this afternoon. I am joined by Mr. Mulembwe Butala. We will have a conversation for the next hour, and we urge you, the listener, to be part of our program this afternoon. You can listen in and, of course, invite your neighbors, tell your friends as well to tune into Mafken FM 97.7, and you can stream live on our website, that is www.mafken.fm. Later on in the program, we will be giving you an opportunity to come to you via phone call, via text message as well, to just give us your various contributions, your comments regarding our topic of discussion this afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Butala. Kabili Mwaisen program mkwai.
Natasha sana wa Gracie. Yeah. Wa konfo so konso komule tumfuila twa misengela mu program.
totela mkwai. Okay, neleo twalambo kulanda mkwai pali ili ashili yesu ili alelo ndesubila bakonfwanga bale tukonka bwino twambile kulanda pali antenatal care, twasalanda ko na pali maternal health care, twalilanda ko na pali family planning, twalilanda pali family planning for the past 2 weeks. Lelo mkwai twalalanda ko pali sex and gender-based violence, iyo tweet at SGBV. Mukwai, this is a sensitive issue. Filachitika momaya ndayengi kumanchdoayengi na mufikulo fimbi mkwai. So we urge you to pay particular attention no kukotikisha mkwai pali iliashi ilia sex and gender-based violence. Ngapapita kwa kashita twaalansha nako na imweba konfwa kutimwaisa nga namkwata ko amepusho pali sex and gender-based violence nangula SGBV nga namkwata ko ama contributions ama comments mkwai kutimwa tumi na kolamia tualai sula phone line later on. Number ni 0762977977 eyo mkalabo mfya kabili kutimude tutumina ko ama message tualai abere nga kaisa nangula kafika kashita akakubelenga ama messages mkwai. I will get to you at this point, Mr. Butala, as we discuss sex and gender-based violence, SGBV. Let us look at how we hear about GBV, because nomba abantu bengi balishi bas GBV nomba na tumfako kwa bako na S kontanshi, and now we're talking SGBV. Could you explain what sexual and gender-based violence is?
Okay. Echakubalira poba kumfwa GBV, we need to first explain it nokuirondolola chinshi ululu kakala lubapo pabantu babiri and fyarengo kweba ululu kakala lwaku pabantu babiri umwa omenu umwana kashi because of the gender issues. Ngatwalanda pali gender, we are talking about our assigned roles at birth, either male or female. So urukakala lubapu padi bashibantu na bashibantu iyo ileta ubwafya limbikutiaba in form of physical kwabo kuchenana, limukutiaba ni emotional iyo ile ngokweba atilimbi mwaba ifya ku ukula pusana mu mitontonkanisha nokuchita affect mitontonkanisha y'abantu limbi kwabo kutikishanya insele all these based on sex or based on the gender differences. Lelo ngatwabika ko sexual gender violence iyaba nomba ni specific type ya gender based violence iyo ichita involve ukuruishanya kwa bana mayo and kumulandu wako lukakala lwapitila in terms of sex, like sexual assault, rape and other things. So all those that involve sexual things become sexual gender based violence, and it also includes not only rape but also indecent assault. So those that is what we describe as sexual gender based violence. And in the same, there are also issues of defilement as well.
Okay. Tuatotela pak tudondolola ko ifya ba SGBV number. We will move on. Kuna temoto alanda ko. You've touched on some, but I would like us to look at the forms of SGBV. Pushabantu kutiba ishiba shan nangula kutiba shida differentiate shan uktirat okay number iyashtika ni SGBV.
Okay. Ama forms ya SGBV nga mulana achilandila ikuli aba in form of in form of rape. Rape, it's a where you force yourself on a woman without consent or having sexual intercourse with your partner without their consent. So ngatapali consent, then mwaipatikisha. That is rape, and that is a form of sexual based violence. The other one is defilement. Defilement nayo yaku, it's a form of sexual violence where you have carnal knowledge with a minor. Mwakwata mwamba okulungana n'omwana udi n'emyaka below 16 years. So that one becomes a defilement. And for defilement, for that type of gender-based violence, takwabo kutila umwana nachita consent or tachitire consent, as long as you have sex with a minor below 16 years, it is considered to be sexual-based violence, because it is assumed by our laws that umwana uli below 16 years is not capable of consenting to sex. So whether nasumina ati mulale nankwe nankutasumine, as long as ali below 6, that is gender-based violence. The other form of sexual violence is indecent assault by aggression. Touching a body of a woman or even a male in an appropriate way without their consent is considered to be a sexual gender-based violence.
Okay.
Because let's say umwana kashi nangu alimu ishiba, but touch the consent wamutonya kuibere, that becomes GBV. So all those are form of GBV, and that is, I think, what the police call as indecent assault.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the forms of sexual gender-based violence.
Namlanda ko pama forms of SGBV ba konfande swela tule konkana bwino. Remember, you can send in your text messages. You can call in later on the program. The number is 0762 977 977. That is the number that you'll be using for your phone calls as well as your text messages. Namlanda ko pama forms of SGBV. I would like us to now move on and look at the major causes of SGBV. Hussein Finshi ifyaba ama causes aya SGBV mkwai.
Okay. Grace, before nshilana kuma forms ya GBV, sometimes kula babantu bamona kwati ayama gender-based violence only happens to women, where women are the only victims. Even men can be victims. In this case, we have heard of reports of where even young male children have been abused by older women. So all those are form of gender-based, sexually gender-based violence. So iringiringa ukueba ati tuchite cause gender-based violence fi tuntukira kumulandu wa kueba ati ama gender inequalities, especially when there are inequalities between men and women in terms of finance and also in terms of physique. Because in terms of economic stability, women become a little bit vulnerable to be abused sexually because of their financial stand. But when it comes to the other inequality, physically, abanakashi, they are less powerful than men. So kulaba wa ukuchimfianya. So there is that thing of sometimes thinking that men are superior, and that superiority eilengo kwebati abengi baleba bakwata yaba ni source ya GBV. The other cause ya GBV is some harmful cultural practices. Shimbi intambi yosho twakwata shilalengo kutila shachita promote GBV. I'll give you an example in some tradition where they will say mulamu obe muna nyai mshoa munamvela kwati mulamu nindio. So that thing will allow the man married to your sister to abuse your sister in that regard. So there are these traditions and beliefs that we have. The other ones are, I think, the ones that we are slowly trying to run away, and if we have not completely run away, it's the issue of ifyaku pianika. Some of the rituals that are done at no pakumiwamia, you have to sleep with somebody and the like. So all those things in terms of culture are some causes of GBV. The other one, it's the socio-economic factors, like I mentioned before. When people are not socially and economically sound, they will get exposed to sexual GBV. For example, we have seen a lot of girls some of them, they go in garages and they become prone to be abused, and that is as a result of their socio-economic status. They want to fend for themselves and the family to help, but in the process, because they are being exposed to this, they become vulnerable, and people of the who think otherwise start now taking advantage of these young children. Then the other root cause is the lack of education and information. You know, sometimes when people don't know that what this person is doing is GBV, so when it is done to them, they think it is normal. It is normal for them for that person to do such a thing. So if they like that information about GBVs and how they can tell that it is GBV, then they are prone to be abused. But if they understand, like this time around, mothers are encouraging their girl children, say, if somebody touches you here, it means that they are what? They are not supposed to go there, so report, because this is a case. So if a child doesn't know and the father is touching the girl child on a private part, you would not, she would think it is normal for the father to touch her in those parts. But if she has information and she's trained to say, no, all men should not touch this reserved area, then you find that those will not have. The other one, it's prostitution also. You know, prostitution also is a GBV. You know the way commercial sex workers operate. at times they are prone. They become vulnerable. They are at the mercy of the people that are paying them for those services. And sometimes they may not even consent to what this person is doing. This person would, for example, say the sex worker may say, let's use a condom. And this person doesn't want to use a condom. So you find that all those things becomes causes of GBV. So in a nutshell, those are some of the major causes of GBV, sexual GBV.
Mr. Butala twatotela sana pakutulondololako ama causes mukwai aya GBV ndesula twakwata okusambirira pwefingi sana pama major causes of SGBV. 24 minutes gone past the hour 15 in the afternoon, and at this point we also have been joined by Madam Carol Matanda mwaisen mukwai ku program bamayowa Carol.
I'm quite Watotela presenter. Good afternoon, listeners.
Good afternoon, thank you. Natulanda ko pali GBV, SGBV, nabatulondela ko babutala what sexual and gender-based violence is. Natulanda ko napama forms of SGBV. He mentioned rape, defilement, battering, and I know most of the times we refer it to wife battering, but I love that we have now modified it to say spouse battering, because we have heard and we have seen instances where it is the women battering the men, and it could be laughable in some areas, but it is something that we should take as seriously as we can. Nabalanda kona pama major causes aya SGBV mukwai nomba ndefo atulande ko pali who is prone to SGBV. Wushe, is there just a certain group of people? Is it just specific to a certain gender? Natulande ko pali the people or the group or who is prone to SGBV?
Thank you so much, Madam Presenter. Nga twalolesha pa lukakala nangula GBV otulela ndapo twala monokwe bati omuntu lionse aliba at risk, but aba vulnerable kuti twala ndokwe bati abana nangula abaiche bali ba very vulnerable ukubika pofye na bana mayo nga mwalolesha kuma causes aya chilanda babutala mwalasanga okwe bati aya ma causes yalelunda po na reason eyo tulelandilo kwe bati bana mayo nangula abana bali more at risk, especially nga mwalolesha culture nangula intambi kulingana nefyo twale kula nangula ifyo twakula bala twebo kwe bati ngana mayo taufile walanda nga abalume bakuma nangula bale kutitilikisha ufile fyo wa ikala tondolo walanda tiyo ifya munganda takwabo kufumya panse, so nga mwamona pama causes aya nayo yalalenga okwe bati twalando kwe bati bana mayo nabana banono babe at risk of ulukakala nangula gender based violence. Ukulunda pofye pali abantu ababa at risk, mwalasanga okwe bati bali abantu ama refugees nangula abantu abafuma kufyalo kumyabo limbe as a result of inkondo, as a result of omutitikisha kulyoko bafumine nga kwali bako intulubundi bayisa limbe mukwikala muno mwalasanga okwe bati ama privileges yabo yalaba taken away nangula kwalabo okubanyantirira. Reason yo chala abele fyo limbi umuntu ukwete opportunity akwe bati engaba chita protect ewishibe vulnerability yabo ewala sango kwe bati ala taking advantage akwate nokukozinga umutitikisha nangula ulukakala. Ilingi mukasangwa kwe bati umutitikisha o tulelanda ponangula GBV abantu ababa mufifulo ifya nangula ama positions akwe bati limbini panchto ama lower positions nabo bantu bobo twingalanda whether mwaume nangula mwana kashi position yakwe panchto ngataili superior mwalasango kwe bati umutitikisha wala kwata okumuchitikira. Mwalasango kwe bati limbi inenebo boss in our work setup. Na mona limbi pali umulumendo limbi onte minonde bomba nankwe na alabo mfya position ilya okumutitikisha such that uli omuntu nankwe alaba vulnerable. So mwalasango kabati abakweta ma positions aya nono mu ma workplaces balaba okutitikishwa whether male or female. apart from abaana abanono abakwebatirimbi wena as a result of culture balabe batuse no omukalamba nga kwebe efita ofiro okukana olunga ni babutala since niba anko bobenga bakwebatisa onu bashukuru especially bashukuru nga bakwebatisa bashukuru no bashukuru bobe bakalamba paliwe, so you can't say no. A girl child can be abused, maybe sexually, because culture, a girl child has been told to say bashukulu bobe nangu bakwikata komavele tete okani. Yeah, so you see that children, women, and maybe people in these marginalized groups, they are so much vulnerable when it comes to SGBV.
Okay. Namulanda kopali ayama different groups mukwai, especially muma home setup namulanda ko namuli ama work setups namulanda ko nafimbi mukwai. So you can be part of our discussion this afternoon. The number is 0762 977 977. Number mule bonfia okutumina ko phone mukwai nangula okutumina ko ama text messages tulelanda pali SGBV lelo yo tuletila sex and gender based violence. Remember that this is the Insaka Yawumi program, which is brought to you by the Population Media Center Zambia in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. As we continue, Nachisa Alandako earlier, when you, Mr. Botella, when you talked about the forms of SGBV, you talked about spouse battering. Now, let us look at this, which is a very sensitive issue. Can men be victims of SGB as well? And how?
How they can be.
Can they be, first of all, can men be victims of SGBV?
Grace, aba omena bo bantufi like mwachumfa bakaro bachilanda ati they ngacha kutira nawo kwata bakaro ni ba boss bandi nabantemo kuti bambo kuntitikisha nangu banje bati ambia ma privileges tinkwate kumulando wakutila limbi nshitelefo bali efwaya. So in that case a man is also vulnerable. We have also heard Grace that there are some bosses who are driven by drivers and they abuse these drivers, whether it is by but those are things that happen. So men can be abused just like women, including physical violence now, sexual violence. Sometimes abana kashibala tuikata inappropriately and we seem to be cool with it. Right, but that is if I have not consented as a man, that is also SGBV, because inenga wanchikata fimbi nalambo kutontonkanya fimbi. So it is very important to kwebati aba omina bena na boba balakwata non-violent GBV in terms of sex. Fimbi if itulengesha ba Grace iringiri ne ndimbe fota tumfuira ati aba mbale chita report. It's because of the stereotype what wakwata men, where we feel we are superior, then photo will say kuti banseka abantu, you know, and the likes, and then it will be very uncomfortable for me to go and say no, actually Grace or Caro raped me and the likes, and say nanga mukazi anga kuchite rape bwanji. But those things happen. If I have not consented to sex, even if I have sex with a woman, it means that I've been raped as a man. Okay. So those are there. But these forms of how this happens, like I've mentioned before, spans from where a man is also on a weaker point, right? And also, you know, we have got now these LGBTQ people. It is men for men. So in those situations, they can sexually abuse each other in those arrangements. So men are actually also vulnerable. But the problem is because men, when they experience this GBV, they will not report, and that is why we are here to also encourage men to be bringing out, because in the end, these are the ones that bring out more lethal confrontation between women and men, because somebody is keeping to themselves. Sometimes people go into depression, sometimes they just commit suicide, and people start wondering, not knowing that probably this person has been sexually abused by women, but he can't come out and say, me, I've been traumatized by a woman, and they are fearing that they will be laughed at or they will be ridiculed by society, because society in itself, because of where we are coming from, where we feel men cannot be suppressed or cannot be beaten or cannot be sexually be assaulted by women. The other one is we have boy children who have been lured by older women to sleep with them, 12, 11, up to 14, even 16. I'm sure you have heard the grace of the sugar mummies now.
Of course,
they go for these small boys. And this is the boy who has first not matured, they can't think, and they have been probably being offered some bit of cash here and there, and the woman is abusing these children sexually. So men are also actually vulnerable, and they can also be victims of sexual gender-based violence.
Okay, thank you so much for highlighting how important it is to also look at how men can be victims of sexual gender-based violence. Nokutulondolwela ama forms akho bathi abawumina bena kuthi baba ama victims aba sexual gender-based violence. 0762977977 is the number that you are using for your phone calls as well as your text messages this afternoon. Number, we understand that sexual gender-based violence is something that can happen, as you have explained. It can happen in a home, it can happen at work, it can happen in many places. Where can SGBV be reported?
Thank you so much. So if you look at SGBV, it can be reported to start with at the one-stop center.
Okay.
Apart from the one-stop center, it can be reported to the nearest safe space that the survivor feels is safe for them to report to. We don't want to limit ourselves to the one-stop center, because if someone is in maybe Murundu, for them to come all the way to Kamchanga one-stop center or Ronald Ross one-stop center, it might take maybe a little bit of time. So if to let emphasize fyakwe SGBV nangula uluka kala no mutitiksha in any form uti yaba reported to the nearest police station, to the nearest school. In schools we have the guidance and counseling teachers. They can report to the schools. Then the schools can take it up. If at all there's need for further referral or further GBV management, they can report to the one-stop center. The reason I emphasize report to one-stop center, it's because one-stop center musangwa abantu abapsana abalepera ama services ayapsana. Mwebale tumfa umuntu ngole alepita mu lukakala alapita mu kuchushwa mumano okotulanda kwa bati limbi trauma. Someone might be traumatized, and umuntu uli traumatized limbi alafaika abantu aba trained psychosocial counselors who are trained maybe in trauma counseling abakwe bati limbi kuti bamuchita counsel. Ngamwaisa one-stop center, you find that there are legal services that will be provided under one roof. And like when you go maybe direct to the police, you will not find a psychosocial social counselor, you will not find a paralegal officer. But when you go to a one-stop center, you find that there are legal services being provided, and it's free, by the way. A medical report, when you go to the one-stop center, you will not be required to pay, is it a 50 kwacha? compared to when you go direct to the police. We're not saying that people can go to the police, but they need to go to the police and they need to explain to say, I'm a GBV survivor, so GBV services are free of charge. Even if they go direct to the police station, they are not supposed to pay a 50 kwacha for the medical report form. It's supposed to be free.
Okay.
So just to add on, in the same one-stop center that we are talking about, the police officer will be there to issue a medical report form. So a one-stop center is the first choice to all survivors that are undergoing gender-based violence. But if we don't prioritize ukuya ko one-stop center, at least even those who are in Kansuswa, we can say Kansuswa Clinic now is a privilege to be a GBV desk. We have Kawama West, Twatasha Clinic, and Chibolia Clinic. I don't know if it's now open. Chibolia Clinic.
Chibolia is still not open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Twatotela sana emkweba butala
ba Gracie. Ngefi balanda ba Caro. Yonse ama GB cases yafuile yaba reported kuma law enforcement agents because GBV is a sexually is a criminal offense. So it being criminal, it needs to be investigated. Now, IAMA investigation, how they are done, it requires the support of many players. And these many players are the police themselves who will issue a police report. And the police report can be issued at any police station. Then we also have the medical personnel who need to examine uyu muntu upitire mu lukakala and give their findings. Then other than that, we need there is a person who needs now to talk to this person because umuntu uli muri situation, their state of mind is not okay, so they need counseling. And they will need to maybe if there was penetration and the likes, they may also need other services like HIV testing, put them on pre-exposure prophylaxis, and also for women, they may also provide them with emergency contraceptive pills. So there are those. And so what happens is that, like for Mufrila now, we have 2 one-stop center. One is at Ronadros and one is at suburbs, Kamchanga Urban Clinic. But we have also GBV desk in the areas where Gracie, where Karobachland. So in areas where there are no these, the nearest police station should be the first point of contact or the health facility that is there. Because what is important is especially in Kakuri physical injury and they require emergency attention. And then the health center staff have been trained in how to handle these and refer the cases to appropriate centers that may handle the case further.
Okay. Twatotela mkwai pakutulondero yako where SGBV can be reported and emphasis mkwai kuli mweba konfomweba leonfwa. I love how you highlighted that sexual gender-based violence is a criminal offense, which I think should heighten people's senses to make sure that when something happens, when they hear of a sexual gender-based violence-related problem, they should be quick to report it because it is a criminal offense which should not be tolerated anywhere, in a home, in a whichever facility that it can be found in. Number, let us look at yet another sensitive issue where sexual gender-based violence happens in a family setup. What if a person is a relative? Can it be handled within the family, or can one withdraw a SGBV case? I have seen and I have heard sometimes you find that a sexual gender-based violence issue happens in a home. A grandfather commits or defiles their grandchild, or a grandmother or an aunt, an uncle, a cousin does that, and then the family sits down and says tatule form sebanya ngafya fumefi tafya moneke buino ishina diala onaika, so let's just keep it under wraps, let's hold a family meeting tuikale tulanshanye pwida popene. Or it would be an issue where the victim says, I'm reporting this. This is not something that I'm going to tolerate. I'm going to go to the authorities. I'm going to report it. And then after that, I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but all of a sudden, maybe umkashana or mulmendo asana ndafyatawe. So I would like us to look at that. What if a person is a relative? Can it be handled within the family? Can one withdraw an SGBV case?
So on that one, I think listeners should start asking themselves, what does Mr. Butala mean when you say SGBV is a criminal offense? I think that will help us to respond to that. So when an offense is a criminal matter, takwabo kulanshanya as families, tulanshanya fye when a matter is a civil matter. So a criminal offense okulingana n'amafonda ya chalo takwabo okuyekalira ku ngando kwe bati no ten tulanshanye fye ngendupwa tulanshanye fye milimbi neba liyo limbi tupepana bena tachamoneke bwino okufumya eri ashiri mu kirongani no iyo abatu twadishwana. We've come a long way with criminal matters or criminal offenses takwaba okulanshanya bali abene abasangirepo pakulanshanya even when anyone reports them, they'll kutibaperwa umulandu kalamba sana, they'll come in conflict with the law unless ama civil cases, yeah, people can discuss, but where sexual GBV is concerned, takwabo kulanshanya. So in cases where maybe people want to withdraw, now that's where the social welfare people will come in to provide security to the survivor. They'll provide shelter. No wonder now we have safe homes, safe houses. If we feel maybe kulyaba abenga muchita coerce, abenga muchita convince, kwa no chitafia withdraw case, uli omuntu ulepta mulukakala, they will be provided with shelter so that so that they don't they don't hinder the justice process ukwebatsi ingachitika. Most of the times we've had case ya African advanced stage limbi mulero lela fe maybe one hearing or so kwebati justice should prevail. Mwala mfafia ba survivor to say no nachita withdraw case or baleka fe no kumonekana ku court, baleka no kwisa ku court, which is so wrong. So criminal offenses in matters of sexual gender-based violence takwabo kwikala panshi okuyalondolola. So kulabako ama issues ya mwakwe but kuti mwalanshanya, maybe emotional violence, yeah, people can have a word with the perpetrator maybe one or two occasions, but naye nanga yachilamo definitely the law will take its course, because you don't know if that person gets traumatized to a level of they can't think straight. Nombama suicide tumfwa yo muntu ali kulika yo muntu ali alefo kuyipaya. So to avoid that, when also these issues that seem like they are little ngafyachilamo, they will cease to be civil matters. They will also be classified as criminal offenses. So what is important is abantu kuchita report ama issue so that kwabo kulandana na bena they get to know, because knowledge is power. If someone doesn't understand but ioni criminal offense, we had an incident last time where a man of God was picked for officiating ichupo cha mwana wa 14 years because the law doesn't allow the clergy to marry off children. There's a law in the Marriage Act that provides for such an arrest. That person was even jailed to just show to others to say, even if you are not the perpetrator, but when you come part and parcel of a crime, then you can be picked as well. So knowledge is power. People need to know. If they feel the information is not adequate enough that they are getting through our beautiful sponsored radio program, they can walk through any one-stop center. They ask, they can walk through any office and ask, what is this? If at all I'm found in this entanglement, how can I report? How can I ensure that I'm not breaking the law? People need to understand.
Okay.
Just to add on, actually ayama cases yakutila amalupo yaliefu okunyantirira eyafulishana sana, and nokuchita withdraw, you find that those are the most major cases where mutanga bachita withdraw because abantu balefu abafira, and because the perpetrator is a breadwinner, and baranda tine nomba balumenga babakaka nomba tukaladi enshi and something like that. But ukuchitafe na kwe nokuchita conceal iliai ne a crime. It's a crime on its own, because and that's what families should know. Gachakwat mwaikalira pamulandu nishina imuma abapata nipase ovu uli omulandu. Now, in terms of withdrawing, you know, there are certain proceedings, and I'm sure next week as we come with the law enforcement officers, they will be able to explain the procedures for a case to be withdrawn, whether criminal or civil. But they will give us some in. But one of the things is that the withdraw case, they need to be told of the potential consequences of withdrawing cases, even the consequences of handling these cases internally. You know, if some of the consequences yakwebat uyu muntu yuli a victim alaba traumatized, and uyu kutilimbi akwata mental problem, and that may lead to suicide. Ababambilimbi tulemo naba atita bali umfa tuamba nokulaba eta machina could have been victims of SGBV. Mwamona? So nomba umuntu amba fyokulanda awe me have nothing to lose in life, and they develop a behavior imbi iyaibela. So bagresi mwasanga ama consequences yalaba ayeng. Then the other consequences kwe bati uyu muntu perpetrator limbita kalekere pali uyu wini. Mwamona? So if you leave it like that, he may harm another one, especially in a family. If this person slept with their own child, what will stop them from sleeping with another child in the house? So the sequence will continue. There will be more victims in the family, because
empowering the perpetrator.
Yes, because akalambo kulanda kaidinga nangu na chitefi bakalanda ati fyapalupwa twachiteshani twalasebana and that kind of thing. So you find that all those things will actually be consequences of either handling these cases in families, or those that would want to withdraw. So it should be important to tell our listeners out there that when a GBV, regardless of who the perpetrator is, whether never breadwinner or not, it should be reported. For me, actually, whatever the form, whether you are a breadwinner or you are not, but that kind of behavior is not acceptable to society. But one of the cases which I know, and I'm sure it will be confirmed when the law enforcement, for deferment, there is no, you can't once the case goes to court, you can't withdraw it.
Okay, and we will learn more, because of course we are going to continue this discussion even next week. But bakomfwa elo tatula mita before you come through via phone call. I see text messages are flooding in. I would like us to discuss cultural beliefs that perpetrate SGBV. There are some mukwayo tumfwako that a woman should not go about telling people that she is being beaten at home. Tualef monazana mamovies vivya kwa bati ngamwamona ba umomwana kashi aisa subabo fetu powder nango ngabamwepsha. What's wrong with your irinzo atawe nali yuma mudo na alisha sani, and others that a man cannot be beaten by a woman. Ngamwamwa vetu mwa umelanda vetu nebali nguma kumuseka fe the whole that away when kutibale kuma iwe popo mpelele mwemene banganda, you know. So let us look at some cultural beliefs that perpetrate SGBV.
So on that one, I'll go back to what Mr. Vutala mentioned, I think, as we were starting the program. He talked of socialization and culture. So when you look at socialization, it's simply in context of how we've been raised to live, how we socialize, how we live. So this culture has so much to do also with the power concept. If you look at the power concept, for me personally, I feel some of these causes that we look at as the root cause might just be contributing factors. I feel when power is not balanced, the problem comes in. I feel power imbalance is the root cause of SGBV. What I mean when I say power is not balanced, when we are growing up, a boy is being told, you are not supposed to cry. Nangu chakalipa. Do you know what we are doing to that boy? We are creating a monster in that boy. We are putting that boy in a box where he's such that he feels like he's suffocating. Chakalipa, I'm not supposed to cry. So because of those power relations that are not balancing, problems will come in. So when you talk of culture and socialization vis-a-vis power relations, I think it's high time we started educating everyone in society to say power can be balanced. It's not about getting power from Mr. Vutala and giving a woman, or getting power from a woman giving it to a man. No, there's no such thing when it comes to power. Power was meant to be balanced, not to be shared. Because, dear listeners, if you look at the way we've been raised, I'll talk of power within. We all have that power within. When we talk of power within, maka aya bamuli ifwe aya kupanga ma decisions aya kulanda kwa awe echi tefyo chifiri okuba awe kwena ifyo chifiri okuba. So once a person after pa point ya kwamba yona alikwata amakamuli ine, I have power within myself to say no to gender-based violence. I have amakamuli ine to say no to sexual gender-based violence. Twalasango kwamba even ama problems aya GBV, whether emotional, whether physical, whether sexual or economical. Twalasango kwamba even nama cases yala chepako. The problem comes in when society now comes to tell a certain part of society to say you have power over this person, which is not supposed to be the case. And people even try to bring in scriptures to say, no, as a man, I'm the head of the house, I'm the one who's more powerful than my spouse. We're not saying that the Bible is wrong to say a man is the head of the house. But we should not use that scripture to suppress others, because Jehovah God hates violence. So if you are the head of the house, why not talk to your partner with love and care and using power over them to suppress them, to say, you can't tell me anything. If you look at some of these cases of gender-based violence that we are recording from the one-stop centers, mostly it is as a result of power imbalance, where a woman feels I'm more powerful than you. What can you tell me? I'm the one who's providing in this household. Even if you're the head of the house, shut up, which is not supposed to be the case. Even women, we need to come to a point where even if we feel you are too powerful because of probably financial muscle, we shouldn't abuse our power.
Maybe to add on, Grace, the other cultural beliefs that actually perpetrate is sometimes the acceptance of violence as being normal.
Okay.
Makamaka baba Grace, you find that omenga tali kuma nishta kutemo.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So all those nanguma omenga ngalefwa kwebati mukumani takwa bakukana. So those things actually contribute. The other one, it's the thing of blaming victims, the belief where you start blaming the victim and say, na wewe mwine limbita wachi fuara bwino ngai wakati waya isanga shani kuleta wachi vanokuva all those kind of things.
Okay, twatotela mkwai palikano wakashita mkwai twala isula phone line mkwai kuti mwaisa via phone call, via text message, mwatupela ko ama contributions yenu ama comments. If you've got any questions regarding SGBV, the number is 0762-977-977. Somebody says men are also at risk of SGBV, especially women with higher positions. GKMCTC, thank you so much for coming through. Another message says, how can someone differentiate SGBV from other types of gender-based violence? It's Niza Pakankoyo Pasi. Thank you so much, Niza, for coming through with that question by Lamia Skamkwai. Another message here reads, good afternoon, Grace and the panelists. It is a very good topic. Most of the times we shy away from talking about issues to do with gender-based violence. Indeed, it is a punishable offense. Mrs. K. Kantanshi, thank you so much for coming through with that contribution as well. 0762-977-977. You are through to Mafkin FM. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. 0762-977-977. That is 0762-977-977 is the number that you're using for your phone calls as well as your text messages this afternoon. Somebody says, good afternoon, Grace Nababutala Inekwena ndefwaya ndandepo pali valia abekata abana babo mumayanda chibi sana ichimusangwechi balandishepo. Okay, thank you so much for coming through with that text message. 0762-977-977. That is 0762-977-977 is the number that you're using for your phone calls as well as your text messages this afternoon. And we would also like to urge you, the listeners, who may have had a family member, somebody who you know, or you might be a survivor of sex and gender-based violence and you would like to tell your story. We can keep you anonymous if that is what you want, but it would just be a very good thing to share your testimony just so somebody out there who might be struggling through the same. I recall that Mr. Butala and Madam Kara as well did make mention that sometimes these things get to the victims so much that it can even lead to depression. It can lead to them withdrawing from society. It can lead to them not wanting to be married anymore if this is somebody who was single and they found themselves a victim of SGBV. It could also lead to suicide. So ngana mkwata ko story enu mkwae omwengatemo kuchita share mkwae kutimwa atulembela ko message kutitwa mitumila kutitwa mikonkela nga mulefu okwisa tupela ko ili ashili enu pamula basa nangula a recording mkwae kutimwa isa mwatusanga pa 52 Kombe Avenue next to Officers Mess kabili nat konkomesha ti program tukaichitako air na next week mkai tukakunganya po kulanda pali SGBV, so na next week kutwaisa alanda po mkwai. But at this point I will get to you babutalana bakara mkwai kutwa tupela ko amashugu ya kulekelesha no kuchitako respond kuliba konfwa abachisa via text message mkwai.
Thank you so much for presenter. Limbi kuchita respond kulibaniza kankoyo kantanshe. Thank you very much for that question. So ngamwalolesha pali sexual based violence nangula SGBV na yama forms yambi. Ubupsano wene it's the way it presents itself. Just like the name itself, sexual, it presents itself in a sexual way. It could be penetrative sexual or unpenetrative. What do we mean when we say this? So penetrative could be rape, it could be defilement, basically these two, defilement and rape. Then unpenetrative, we'll look at harassment or assault. Indecent assault. For example, when someone is touching the other person without their consent. Umuntu takupele permission nangola ulusa ukweba tuinga muikato umuntu pamubiri. and that kind of touching, that's what we call indecent assault. Sometimes it could be passing comments that are unwarranted. Limbi umuntu taumfwe bwino, even not to say okay uyunga na mwebefi taumfwe bwino. Maybe the way someone walks, you pass for you, it might be for fun, but you might not know that you are injuring their sexuality. Yeah. Others, most of people, when you talk to them, they even say, no, I was just joking. No, I didn't mean it. But let's be careful. You might not mean it, you might be joking, but the other person might take offense and they might be traumatized for the rest of their lives. So people need to be very careful when it comes to sexual offenses. There was also a message that touched on defilement that comes in form of incest. A father having carnal knowledge with their biological child or maybe a stepchild, which is so wrong. You find that once that person is not reported, like Mr. Butala mentioned, Taba Kaleke, to them they will even feel have been empowered to continue doing this. So let's not empower perpetrators. Reporting gender-based violence or reporting SGBV is one form of preventing it. Ngata tudechita report ni nshitwishe fe okwabatiti tatu wakachite prevent. So in summary or in conclusion, we just would love to urge all the listeners out there, report gender-based violence. Like Madam Presenter has mentioned, you can walk through the studios and report. If you are scared to say no nkaba witness ku court, there are toll-free lines that we can use. So if you are an adult, we have 933. That's even if you don't have airtime in your phone, once you call 933, you'll be attended to. For children, you can call 116. Even if you don't have airtime, still the phone will ring. You'll be talking to a professional who will be able to help you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Babu Talamkwa.
Mukulekeresha ndelanda kwebati tulelanda pali sexual GBV. It is a problem in our society now, and abantu bonse bafuire bayishiba omutundu nenshila yishilamu edio tufuire tualachita protect makamaka. Me, I'm always an advocate for the girl child who is very, very vulnerable. Abafiashi, let's ensure that our girl children are protected, and let's not allow our girl children to walk veka in places that are isolated, in places that where people don't pass, and they should not be going alone. At least group, the message becomes very much faster to reach if there is some.
From strangers.
And then abana tabafuire bari senda ma lift from strangers makamaka bakashana no kupoka ma gifts from strangers, all those things. So let's ensure that we protect each other from this form of violence, and we live as a happy community.
Thank you so much. Twatotera na kuli mweba konfwa mweba chila kutika kuli ino program pabush kubwelelo. Thank you so much for your text messages as well. Okumishi bishako na next week mkwai Saturday from 15 to 16 tukalalanda pali SGBV mkwai na mkwatako abantu abalikuwa ma victims mulefu afye naba na monganda abanenu baishiba ko pali SGBV mkwai kutumwa kutika kumulaba sawa Mafken 97.7. This has been your host Grace Keke Ngoma saying keep listening to Mafken FM as you enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Listen to your favorite radio show Insaka Yawumi for great information on various health issues like HIV and AIDS, sexual and gender-based violence, maternal and child health, and family planning. Ndola, listen on Chimwema Radio and Rooster FM at 1000 hours every Wednesday starting 17th of January 2024.
In Kitwe, listen on Ya FM and Flavor FM every Thursday at 10 hours starting 18th January 2024.
Mpongwe, listen on Pongo FM at 10:30 hours every Wednesday starting on 17th of January 2024. Mufulira, listen on Mafcan FM at 1500 hours every Saturday starting 13th of January 2024. Chingola, listen on iWave Radio and Kokoliko FM at 900 hours every Thursday starting 18th January 2024.
SGBV no mufyashi inoninsa kayabumi inazambili shefingi pamikalile yenu eluna pabumi ubusuma.
Insaka Yabumi, better health, better lives. This message is brought to you by Population Media Center Zambia in partnership with the Ministry of Health.
Ubumi usuma makapa njobatila mano mambulwa kusambilishanya kusuma nemikalile ya bumila wama ulukwalwa nsansa inonisaka ya bumi inazambilishe fingi pamikalile yenu eluna pabumi ubusuma.
Naisa
iwe ndesha nagwira nishikanshi iwe nije wabashani endesha
bachibwe Naisa
ule wayo kwisula do kwa jina ni monafika ala ngalimbi bachimpepeka ino nawe ishwa no kishibati ni 02 nawe ishbalide ule posa kwa mano ule fwa anga fuire panse ndelanda na iwole ndole shanga ndelanda taule mfwa
bachibwe mwadi kwi na mfwa no tati i 2 days yapita nikwisa mwadi nikwisa mwadi lala bachibwe
nawe ishbalide
bachibwe that's 2 days mwadi fumapo nsha ishwane ko mwaba
fingi sana inefyo nchita wadi ishbano kwishi
finshi fine fingalenga na phone mwashimya lelo mufike napanga nda 02 mulenga lipira nokunkalipira hawe bachibwe mwalanje balero ko mwadi
tapale fyo lelanda mpera fe fyakulya nje mkulala chapwa
ifyakulya fisa era mwade fuma panganda mwadishire pwempia
Lydia so ulenje bati pano panganda tapali fidi fyonze fyakulya tefyo
fyala fuma kwisa
so mwikere nsala imwe
nimi pushanati era mwafuminepo pano mwadishire pwempia olo fyala fuma kwisa ufine fyakulya
yo kwena ulelanda nokulanda kwa chipu bachimoneni ule nyeshi wipalini
mwadi
Lydia ule bomfya mano wamfwa
bachibwe na papata nami papata bachibwe
mona aba nowe bala bomfya kwa mano initiative iwaka no fena mwikala fena mubwaka mapanganda mule ina fyenga fika poli fya ku trade fair
yaba umaba
ukulanda kwena nga tapali fya kulya mulalanda bati ukwina nchira nchita awe bani kutumpo kumule posa kwa mano
bachibwe kuti mwapalanya kunkumba
inkumba ya wamapo iwe Lydia walitumpa uli chipuba fye tawa kwa tamano
bati kwena
chashupa shani ukumpela fe fya kulya
bachibwe amashiwe ya moyo mulanda
selako ndi amukulala ine ala iwe wikabweke shapwa mano ya vukapoli ule tontonga yanje chimuntu notingena maya mumpanga
inkoko yalapho suka
ala mwanzini
talaleka kabili ifyakulya bapeka nyoko
mayo taba myebere
awe ukunje benshi
inenshi lelya mayo nachibe bakalefe nachibe mpendelako
Lydia noluchelo nifine wachilanda ninshi
tapali mayo
Lydia tapali ofyo lilepo lelo
tapali nobwafya kuti fe kadate ko natambile mayo
dayati
natilimbi kuti twabweshako oyu mubiri
Lydia ngechi chafuma kwise chakukanalya Lydia ninena chimbusa obe kuti wanjewe fili fyonse nishi yashupa we mwana.
Mayo ninkwetu ubwafya na machibwe.
Ubwafya nshiridia.
Amachibwe bade ubwafya ngatwalaka. Awe mayo yachinamu. Wanyama umewamusalula.
Ala. Nga nishi balandile.
Mayo inokumpalanya kunkuma. Mayo nkumashuwa.
Awe na bena batata. Ngafya fumina kuisefyo fya kuitefyo.
Mayo baishire panganda 02. Elo ni jonze 2 days ya ptilencha ishibene kubali.
Hello.
Mwana mwine mkube pushe mwafumina ukulaga basuka bansalula.
Mwana we mwana. Umenga nafulwa. Finge ngalanda.
Nawe mayo. Teka kubadila pwaka. Fingi bachiwe bantu kilapo. Mamba chachiramu.
Chifu kushifye. Tapali no bwafya. Iwe shipafye. Yali amashi wifye chapwa.
Mayo, kachi muli pano panze?
Okay. Nkongeri ababene ba Lydia bekeri apa. Nishi?
Atikula bale mfuwa mukatumu.
Emo mfumine. Nishi panto?
Ati fyakulya nafichepa.
Ifyakulya nafichepa. Fyonse filya?
Awe nane ni mpapa.
Vana mayo, awe shuwa mwe. Na isa Lydia nomba line wamfa?
Okay, mayo.
Lydia, ingefwe filamba? Lydia.
Ma? Ine mama, abachiwe na bampesha.
Ala. Inga nishi ya chupa?
Bala isa bamiebe ba mayo, na chilondolo la fionsi.
Awe Lydia, mfa kuno. Badani bana chimbusa bobengi bafini warandai. Ineni neno kosenge. Kuti wanje ba? Lydia, ififindu tabasungira kumutima.
Mayo?
Kakuka mwana wande.
Maya mashiwe abalume bandi babomfya nga bafulwa. Awe shuwa chachiramo.
Ngafishi barandire.
Okwisa mpalanya kunkumba shuwa. Na ene akusho. Katuishi dimbi nififine tuwagoto mubiri uyu.
Nawe wiralanda nifyo. Abalume bobe bera kwebe fyo. Amashiwe tayawe mena nfe panono.
Na dionse nga bafulwa nichi kunsalula.
Awe. Nawe shiba. Abalume bobe chibe nabafulwa. Nangula tabafulirwe. Insede kumwina mobe. Tefyo tachifwaika. Mulandu uyo.
Mulandu mayo.
Pantu nga walimina pa waya balimbisha ku polisi. Mulandu kalamba sana.
Mama. Elo nomba chabashani shuwa.
Kulia ku polisi nga waya afika. Kwali ba victim support. Nga waya balimbisha afi. Bena kuita iwe n'abalume bobe. Elo bamiteka panshi.
Mayo. Ushebachi wokuti bafyumfu efyo shuwa. Mayo na imu.
Mfwa kuno. Nga bachite fitala. Kwisa abasenda. Ba polisi takwabo kwangala. Takwabo fya mangalo alionze ku polisi.
Hawe nsha ishibe cho mayo.
Panomba waishi bai. So iwo kuima foyo balembeshe wamonaka. Tachu awe shuwa. Umulume wabale kutoka. Tachifwaika. So iwe papena panga tawachitepo chili chonse. Uyu musango lino kupitirira. Uime ferili yo balembeshe.
Awe mama. Mimbale kefye. Chinafa efya kulatola na ku polisi. Nambani mailo bakalanda tishani.
Lydia. Niwe wole chula munganda yobe.
Mayo. Lekeni mbale kefye limbi bakachinja.
Nawe wibutukira okukana lobe. Ninganda yobe ka? Tata, na sheni kweshwi na imwe kabidi,
Mayo banakombe, iteni Lydia chapwa.
Ifyo mulelanda tapali wafya. Abakashibeni bali nokufuma ba no fiere ken bapusho fu bali chita.
Lydia! Iwe Lydia!
Ushachishupire ni chinshi kanshi batata bezo. Kumulola kufe pa no fe, lorengo fe pa no fe na 2 minutes fi ala fuma.
Mayo, imwana ine tapali problem. nkonkeryo mukashwandi kuno
ningumfwa nomba munene abantu wengi pano
iwe Lydia
loleleni kofe nayi mwe tata malaya landa fe buno kunganda ngapadi fishupire
ngana isomo twalapu sana
bachibwe ishikanshi yashupa
kolwe iwe ulelanda nokulanda
ayo amashuite yasuma mwinga bonza kuba kashibenu ayo
namyupa banga
tamwachiramu
mayo banakombe nati namyupa banga
mukashibenu ayo amashiwe awe nayi mwe tata
namulanda nokulanda ati mukashwani nikwate nsambu mayo ishakumwita fyonze fyondefwaya ichipu konto mungwa impemfu fyonze fye
babantu shuwe fofine fyayo amashiwe
mayo
awe
engireni
nawe Lydia chachiramu
mayo engireni twalaisa tulande bwino
awo mwanda kwena
engireni fye mayo na papa tanderumbako
wamona fira nkweba lyonza ati tawakwata amano tefyo
bachibwe
ninani waibera tuleisa kuno ninani waibera umungulu fye weka fye
bachibwe kuti twayalandira kopa ilili ashipa apashiri abantu shuwa mwati nipa abantu
ninshi pantu bonse aba bantu bafide bayishibatira uri chinangwa iwe tawakwata amano
bachibwe fyo mwingalande fyo shuwa
nshirati lelo bonse balayishibo kutira na upechi puba konto wakantu iwe shawali kwata amano tuleyo walayo moni
SGBV iyabapa misango yapusana limo fishobo ukwepa omuntu amashuwa yabipa temulandu nefyo mukalipe tamulingira okushoba omuntu nangula okumutuka ensele ichi tachasuminishiwa abamileterako obubwangalo kabungwe ka Population Media Center.
Modular Christian Academy is enrolling at affordable fees from baby class to grade 7, as well as daycare services. We have a spacious environment. We offer computer lessons for all grades, and we also have educational tours, clubs, and grade-based activities. We have self-oriented and motivated staff with proven experience from the Teaching Council of Zambia. We are the most affordable and credible institution by using the proven and highly recommendable resources, locally and international education standards, and we instill Christian values from an early age. Modular Christian Academy is a GCE examination center, offering GCE tuitions, and for quick pickups, we have a very comfortable school bus. We are located near Town Center at plot number 10 Gashi Avenue. For more information, contact the numbers 0977612220 or 0967612220. Modular Christian Academy. Excel through hard work.
AFCON, see AFCON kuri beimwe ndimwe mumaleta chimwela. You make Africa's biggest football tournament great. Nkala ni mbali ya